Oh, hey, it's you guys. Come on. Now, the hair's a little longer, the beard's a little shorter, and it might look a little different in here than what you're used to, but I'm back, and check this out. Last time we saw the GPZ550, aka the Kodakasaki, we had just closed the engine back up after giving the head a refresh and installing a big bore kit. So I suppose now it's actually GPZ550. Granted, that was a while ago. I have been picking at it here and there, but for the most part it has sat untouched on the lift table. You could say I took a summer vacation and a fall vacation too. You see, this summer, I had been feeling a little unmotivated when it came to working on bikes, a little uninspired creatively. And I do consider what goes on in here to be creative work. If not the design and aesthetics of the motorcycles, then at the very least, the filming and editing of these videos. If you work in a creative profession and you know that good work, the really good stuff, can't just be turned off and on like a tap. That stuff comes from outside yourself. You gotta eat it and chew it and digest it, and hopefully what comes out is pure extruded genius. That analogy. Back to the GPZ. New motor deserves new carburetors. We're going with a set of KNCR raised carbs to fit the big bore cylinders. Remember, we added 65 cc's to this little bike. They're not exactly street legal, but I won't say anything if you won't. They're high performance, just look at these polished bores. Plus, they're really easy to tune, being mechanical carburetors and not constant velocity like the old ones. That's going to be important when it comes to dialing in the jetting for the big bore kit and the new exhaust. Fortunately, a kit is offered for the specific model that fits it, so I don't have to fabricate any linkages or bracketry. It just goes right on. Remember the last video I put up all the way back in May? Yeah, I acquired a BMW R100 GS Parastack car. Sick bike, right? Well, I have been riding that pretty much all over the eastern seaboard of the US. Travel, in my opinion, is the most effective way to get that mojo back. New experiences every day, guaranteed. For example, I went to Americade this year in Lake George, New York, and got to try out a ton of new bikes. Sport bikes, tours, cruisers, supermotors, a ton of different riding styles. Yeah. Fun to ride. Super. My favorite was probably the Harley Pan America. That was an exceptional ride. 150 horsepower, electronic suspension, great riding position. You could really throw that thing around. Now, having run that self-guided tour all week long and getting to Pan America on the very last day of the event, I was feeling pretty comfortable with, giving it a little more juice than maybe was appropriate on public roads. Might have gotten to thinking you're born at one
here
point.
we go. Jump it. Oh!
Don't tell Harley.
It sounds good. It doesn't sound like a Harley, but it sounds good.
It may not have that traditional Harley V-twin potato, but it's still pretty good. It's a really sharp bike. Inspiring even. Speaking of exhaust, we're going to reuse this 4-into-1 Motec system that was on the GPZ, but we're going to replace the muffler. This is one of those decisions that impacts both form and function. There's a ton of options here, from vintage style cone mufflers to sporty cans to these flaccid GP style ones. But here, we're going with a super trap. This suits the period that this bike is from, and it's tunable by adding or removing the plates on the end. So it's pretty functional too. It's going to pair great with the CR carbs up top. If you are struggling to find the motivation to finish a particular project, maybe you have another project in your head that you are excited about. If that's the difference between making something and getting nothing done, then go fucking do it. I know people always say, finish one project before you start another one, otherwise you end up with a shop full of half-finished projects. But you might as well get something you're excited about finished if the alternative is moping around. And who knows, maybe that's the thing you need to get back into the swing of things. Because this is the part of the project that is the most difficult to get through. All the fun stuff like fabrication, engine work, and design are finished, and you get a list of 100 little nonsense things to do, like throttle cable, electrical, whatever. By the way, I ended up installing the Moto Gadget breakout box in the headlight. Considering the inputs, it just made more sense to do it that way. I do have to say that all the Moto Gadget gear doesn't make it really easy to wire up a new harness. Didn't really take that long at all once I actually sat down and did it.
And really, that is kind of the hardest part of this phase of the build. Breaking down the project into tiny, bite-sized portions works really well in this case. If you can spare an hour to wire up the new ignition coils, then that's another checkmark off your list. Minor accomplishments still feel good, and they add up quick. If all you can really do that day is add the oil, then that's okay. At least something got done.
Left the keys over here.
I'll have to adjust that idle, huh? Okay. I think I got it dialed in now.
Hey, this is post-edit Rich. I just had a couple of things that I wanted to add here at the end. First off, yes, the bike has an exhaust leak. I heard it too. Don't worry, I'm going to be pulling the pipes to get them refinished. I'll replace the exhaust gasket at that point. Otherwise, the bike is pretty much complete. Secondly, I know this video was a little bit different than what I usually do in that it involves a little bit more than just working on the bike itself. I don't think I'm entirely alone in feeling a bit of a world weariness or ennui over the past few months, having what feels like having to hold our breaths for the last 2 years. And there's a lot more to the hobby than just the, working and riding bike part of it. So that's something that I want to explore a little bit more in the future. Something else you may have picked up on is the channel name is different, and this is normally the part of the video where the shop logo would go. Long story short, I'm not part of that group anymore. They will be continuing to do their thing elsewhere. And I'm fortunate that I will be keeping this little workspace. So what the future holds is I'm going to be making videos about me and my friends working on my bikes and my friends' bikes. And I'm not going to worry about doing commercial work anymore. Not having to worry about being commercially viable means that I can really push the envelope of what we can do here in the shop. I can really spend some time on things. My buddies and I have a lot of really cool ideas and a lot of really, really dumb ideas in the works, and I'm excited to share them with you guys. So strap in, folks, let's get weird.